right, welcome to another episode of Two Bros, One Beard. I'm Michael.
And I'm John.
Today we have another segment of Out of the Ashes where we discuss an album that didn't get its due when it was released, or maybe it just hasn't been talked about in a while. In this case, this album didn't get even close to the recognition it deserved. This was one of the ones when we were thinking of this segment, immediately came to mind, and that is the band is Beyond the Bridge, and the album is called Old Man and the Spirit. Is that correct? Did I get that all right?
Yep, The Old Man and the Spirit.
There it is. John has a physical copy. Before I throw it over to you for the story synopsis, I mean, this is another progressive metal record. It came out, what year? We got 2012 here?
That's right, 2012.
So we said last time we did kind of a overview of Ostura the Room, we said it's the best album, progressive metal album in the last 10 years. This might be the best in like the previous, maybe not 10 years, I wouldn't say, but maybe the previous 5 years. This, second best progressive metal record in the last 15 years. But yeah, it got completely overlooked. It came out on Frontiers Records, I believe. And they don't release too much progressive metal. They have a couple good bands, Seventh Wonder being one of them. And they used to have Circus Maximus on their label, but they don't have too many. So this was by far, I think, the best album ever released on Frontiers, wouldn't you say, John? Or close? I don't know.
As a whole, yeah, because I think when we get to talking about Circus Maximus, I think Isolate was on Sensory still, the Laser's Edge.
I think you're right. I think it was 9 that was on Frontiers, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, best thing Frontiers has put out.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, Frontiers is usually, a hard rock label. They have, quite a few bands that were, great in their heyday on the label, but it's mostly new, melodic rock bands, and they, they're not the best. There's a few good things on Frontiers, but they release so much stuff.
There's just a lot.
Yeah, there's so much. Seems like there's 10 albums a week. But anyway, so I'll throw it over to John for the before we dive into the record for the story synopsis. I think he has it.
Yeah, I got a little bit about it. Not going too deep because I think they really left it open for a bit of interpretation here. But definitely, without a doubt, a concept record. Follows two characters, the old man and the spirit. What do you know? And
about
the stories, I know. So the old man is kind of the central character. He's in the final stages of his life. He's kind of in different states of frustration and kind of desperation, end of life, sort of just apathy, despondency, things like that. Okay. Calls out to a spirit to find meaning in his life. The spirit who answers his call embodies all the wisdom that man cannot achieve, but lacks the real life experience to make sense of it. A deal is presented to her in that if the old man surrenders his memories, he will be given the wisdom. And there's kind of this give and take and drama surrounding that and how it ultimately resolves at the end. And I would love anybody watching this to go listen to it and check out the story for themselves to discover how it ends, because it's a profound, amazing ending. We'll get to the ending in a second. But what's cool about this band is, this is a one and done thing, unfortunately, unless, something changes down the road. But as far as the lineup, Herbie Langhans.
Well, I think it's Langhans, but
Langhans. Okay.
Yep.
He's definitely the one who went on to do other things that you might have heard of.
Yep.
And then you have Delania Marr, who's the other vocalist, female vocals.
So I guess she plays the spirit, I would guess. Or?
Yes, she does. Okay. She does the part of the spirit. Yeah. And full band, 2 guitarists, keyboards, bass, drums. Simon Oberender. You were telling me it was kind of a established producer in the business. You said worked with Camelot.
Yep. I guess he worked with Camelot, Avantasia.
Okay.
He didn't produce. I don't think he produced their records, but he had some sort of creative influence on them. And in this album, he's not listed as an official member. I don't think not on all lineup listings anyway. But He's the one who unfortunately passed away, and I'm guessing he, was, one of the creative forces around this album. I don't know if he did a lot of the songwriting, or I'm not sure, but they seem to indicate he did, because they're still active on Facebook, and people will ask them, when's the next album, and they kind of hint that we lost our kind of creative force. So
yeah,
that's very unfortunate, because the band was just getting going. They just played Prog Power, and I think a week later he passed away. I think it was 2012 or 2013. So it's very, very unfortunate.
So the thing about the creation of this record is it goes back to, it says first studio recordings began all the way back in 2008.
Wow.
And a lot of pre-recordings and pre-production and stuff like that. It was completed in 2011 and then released in 2012. So you can just, I guess, as a way to kind of just get into our, thoughts on the record. Oh, and by the way, here's the back cover of the booklet, which does have 7 members.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you who the vocalists are, but I don't know which one is.
Yeah, there's just not really enough of them out there. Enough like videos and stuff.
Yeah, so I couldn't tell you which one's Simon, but he must be in that photo. But anyway, you can definitely tell by even the first listen, and especially after repeat listenings, that there was a lot of effort and craft that was put into this record. It was definitely a passion project that these guys worked on for clearly a very long time, but they just poured their heart and their souls into this thing. And it is, I would put it up there in terms of a conceptual piece with, for sure, Scenes from a Memory, Metropolis Part 2, because of the way that you have these musical motifs and concepts that just kind of are interwoven throughout the whole project.
Yep.
You're going to hear, oh, this is such and such motif, and then you're going to hear that repeated on subsequent songs. And the other thing, just like Scenes from a Memory, is you have an Act 1 and you have a very distinct Act 2, and it's broken up very, very clearly as you're listening to it. Yeah, that's what's going on. And another comparison to Dream Theater is just the musicianship and the songwriting. I mean,
and the tone too. I mean,
and the tones.
Yeah.
Yep. It's it is impeccably recorded and just executed masterfully on every possible level. It is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, the music stands on its own as a masterpiece, and then you add in just fantastic vocal performances and just emotive vocal performances
and vocal arrangements, so where the melodies are, I mean, I think even a notch above something like Scenes from a Memory. The arrangements are just so clever. You have 2 vocalists that are very different. She has more of a pop voice. He has kind of an aggressive style voice, although he could sing kind of clean at times, but he's closer to like a Jorn Land than he would be a James LaBrie or something.
Yes.
But the melodies just really, really, stick with you. They're super catchy. And yeah, so that puts this album kind of a notch above a lot of the progressive concept records.
Yeah, and in some ways, to me, a notch above, even though we said The Room, for all of its grandiosity, is, I don't know, maybe on some level could be the greater album, but I think there's a lot of ways this surpasses that, and I think it's due to the brilliance of that familiarity. There's not just musical motifs, but there's vocal motifs. So you're going to hear, oh, it's the same melody, but there's different lyrics because it's telling a different part of the story. It's beautifully done that way.
Yeah.
So similar, like I said, to Metropolis Part 2, it does that where it's gonna bring something back, but it's gonna be in a slightly different way, which is really, really cool.
And I don't know what you call it when they do it where you have 2 vocalists and they're each singing different lines.
Yeah, it's counterpoint. Yeah, they would they did that a few times, and the I'd have to look up to see which track they do it on the first time, but they absolutely end the record that way, and the most just bombastic, like it's crazy huge ending where it's.
But the crazy thing is you could clearly hear both singers to where they don't kind of
Oh, yeah.
merge, which is amazing because the album is so perfectly mixed,
Yeah, for sure. Well, on the last track, the spirit's not there because I don't want to give away, that portion of the story, but there's a reason for that. And it's just, it sort of seems to be, my interpretation would be all the memories kind of flooding back, which is why it's layer on top of layer on top of layer. And then the band starts to stack different things and the drums get more intense. And then it's wild. Like it's just a crazy huge ending. It's like they just threw. It's sort of like the Disneyland fireworks show. It's like that finale. It's just like, okay, here's everything all at once.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you get at the end, and it's amazingly well done and executed. Very very much like the way Savatage ended Wake of Magellan and Dead Winter Dead, where it's just like, hey, let's just do the giant counterpoint part, all the vocals. And just and it's kind of like that.
Definitely. Yes, I mean, if you're a fan, I mean, some songs remind me of Symphony X, New Mythology Suite at times, and then it reminds me a lot of Dream Theater as well. But I would say it reminds me of early Dream Theater, kind of Images and Awake. Sometimes a little bit of Falling into Infinity. I mean, if you're a fan of progressive metal, this is just an album for you. Great, amazing guitar riffs. One of the best instrumentals I've ever heard too. It's up there with Dance of Eternity, and that's the track 3, Triumph of Irreality. Yeah. I mean, there's some spoken word in the beginning, but it's an instrumental, and it's just killer. And then there's some really mellow moments in The Spring of It All and World of Wonders with the female vocalist, Spirit. Kind of has that Spirit Carries On or Through Her Eyes. And then the album. So the album has a lot of nice ebbs and flows for sure. Starts out pretty heavy, gets real mellow.
Yep.
It's got those motifs, like you said. It just has a little bit of everything, and it's just a perfect record. There's nothing that you could criticize. It's just flawless.
Yep. And then also two, really, really amazing melodic, beautiful ballads. World of Wonders and Where the Earth and Sky Meet. Yep.
Forgot to mention that one too.
Kind of the, where the Earth and Sky Meet is The Spirit Carries On of this record.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's the way, and it
has a little bit of a Disney flair, kind of like with The Room.
Yes. Yes.
It's just poppy enough, not too much, but just super, super catchy melody.
Right. Yeah. An amazing record. We could go on and on about it, but it's like if you've never heard it, you got to check it out. It's available for streaming, Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you find it. I think you can probably buy it new on Amazon, but I found it on eBay for a pretty good price, and the copies are still out there. Looks like it was maybe republished or re-released through Icarus Records. So there's copies out there.
Okay.
And but absolutely worth having the physical copy, I think, just so you can kind of get the breakdown of the full narration, and it's it's a perfect album. What else can we say? It's flawless.
Yep. Like I said, if you're a fan of progressive metal, this is the ultimate hidden gem, I guess you would say.
100%. All right. I think that about wraps it up, bro.
All right. Well, thank you for watching our latest installment of Out of the Ashes. And I'm Michael, and this is my bro, John, and we'll catch you next time on Two Bros, One Beard. Take it easy.
Take care.